What's up? So I want to do a video about something that's been kind of bugging me for quite a long time. I've been talking about it once in a while, but it pretty much comes around every 6 months. So basically, playoff patches, and I hate them. I honestly hate them. And the most obviously this weekend is a big example where you have all these teams that have been playing for 10 weeks in the league, and all of a sudden, Riot is like, bam, we're going to take out one of the core strategies, core mechanics of the game, which is taking out 2v1. And whether or not you guys like 2v1s or not, it's not the point. There could be any change that drastically changes the way the game is played. And this is a big example because 2v1 is huge. It's one of the it doesn't look big, but this is one of the biggest patches for competitive play ever. And what's probably going to happen, from my guess, is that they're going to change it again to make it so that 2v1s are allowed or able to. Like, they basically just neutered 2v1. It's actually disgusting. But, anyways, so tournament patches, playoff patches, it doesn't make sense. Like, teams play for so long on a certain patch or a series of patches are just slightly different, like champions change here and there. Like, that's okay because, you know, like, champion is only a small portion of the game, but changing a core mechanic of the early game is just a huge change that I think it needs to be done. Like you needs to be said about it. Like you can't just do that to the game. Like sure, yeah, the pros will complain about it and we'll still play it because we have no choice. But if we had a choice, there's no way we would want to play on this. We would rather play on a previous patch, but at the same time, playing on playing on previous patches suck because the viewers are gonna be like, why is this game so much more different than the game I'm playing right now? And it's all these things that just makes playing on previous patches suck for viewers. But I would honestly prefer that in this case, just because this patch was so big. And okay, so let me give you an example of where these kind of playoff patches, these big changes every, say, 2 months, are okay. And that would be in a system where you have tournaments every 2 months, every month, where teams are, able to dominate on a certain patch, but then the game changes a lot, and then they don't dominate anymore. But it's fine because you have teams that can adapt really quickly, teams learn to adapt quickly, and that's just the name of the game. Like that is how the game is played, where it just has a lot of changes. That works really well in a tournament system, and then maybe like towards the end of the tournament system, you have like a giant tournament like Worlds, for example. They don't change too much then, and like that's just how it should be. Like if you have a lot of frequent patches, if you have a lot of frequent tournaments on each patch, to just throw things in the mix a little bit. There's no point in having the league system as it is, and you have all these patches because there's no point in the regular system a regular season because a team that is first place, like is super dominant the whole season, could easily lose out in the playoffs. Like you saw last split, for example, where we had Immortals who were extremely dominant, only lost one game the whole season, a whole split, and all of a sudden they lost. They got shit on by TSM, and could it be that TSM got really good? Yes, that is part of it. But at the same time, you nerf their main carry's full champion pool. Like, how is he gonna carry as hard when you just nerf everything about it? If that were TSM that was super dominant the whole split and lost to some random shitter team, then people would be super upset. But because TSM the most popular team in North America, everyone's like, yeah, TSM. Like, that's great, but it's just objectively this is not good. It's just not good for competitive play to have such a lot of change when the whole point is to have a a kind of a similar patch. Like the whole point of a league is you play on a similar patch the whole way through, playoffs whole way through. That way teams are like, you can tell how good a team is when they go into playoffs. And seeds matter because you want to have the highest chance and all this good stuff. Can't do these large changes. Like playoff patches is one thing that's really bad, and then the next, like what's even worse is the world's patches, like the random ass patches where it's like, all right, Darius Mordekaiser Fiora, you are broken as shit, permabanned, or you lose the game. Like that's the other problem is because you have Worlds, which is the biggest tournament in the whole year, and then you have such a giant patch before. It's like you're like, what? Like, what's the point of playing a season if, or even trying in the season? Like, there's no point in being the best team on one patch or in a series of patches because in the end it's likely going to change to something drastically different, and it just doesn't make sense. It just makes it so all your efforts are for nothing. And it's awful. And going in more, okay, so honestly, there's really no like explaining it. It's just awful for competitive pro play. Maybe for viewers, it's great. You get to see all these different stuff. I mean, I like 2v2s. For this patch, for example, 2v2s, everyone's like, wow, I love 2v2s. But then that's the thing. Like, it's because we haven't seen that many 2v2s recently, and it's just been a lot more 2v1s, and that sucks. And people don't like to watch that. But once it's 100% 2v2s, and then it gets to the point where people are playing a lot more safe and they don't die as much and there's not much action in 2v2s, then it becomes sort of same thing. You get it into a circle because this is how season 2 was when people start getting a lot better. Then 2v2 lanes become a lot more stale. You had a lot more sustained champions. Champions just kind of farmed out, and you just look to scale. And that's just how the game turned out. And it's gonna be the same thing if Riot just leaves with 2v2 as it is. 2v1s and 2v2s should be balanced in a way where you can do either. When you get rid of one or the other, then it makes it a lot. The champion pool becomes a lot more small, and the game becomes a lot more stale. And right now, it is super exciting because everything's still new for people, and people don't understand what's going to happen. But I've seen this before; it's happened before, and it's just the way things are going to go. It's going to slowly, eventually, be a lot more passive. And now it's exciting, but it won't be in the future. That's all I'm going to say about that. So stop with the playoff patches. Stop fucking us. We just want to play on a similar patch the whole way through. And I don't know if you viewers agree with me because like maybe you guys enjoy all these weird patches all of a sudden, but I don't think it should be in the game. I don't think you should make it. I don't think Riot should be like doing this to the players. It just doesn't make sense. It makes teams like TSM, for example, right now being like, "Holy shit, we got first place," but that just means that we have more pressure because we don't even have anything to show for our first place. Like they don't, their chances of winning on this patch is significantly lower than their chances of winning on the previous patch. And it just sucks. Being first place honestly sucks. The only advantage you get is side, and then aside from that, you just get so much additional pressure because of how dominant you are and how much different the patch is. It's like if you don't get first place, that's considered a failure, and everyone's gonna be like, "Wow, like what's the point of doing so well if you guys don't even take first?" It's like, well, this patch is like completely different, so can't really blame us. We can't really say that, so it's like one of those you're just getting fucked. So stop fucking us, please. That's all. Thanks guys for watching.